Hi guys, it's Blackie for sharpening.bushcraft. Okay, part of the bushcraft skills, knowing how to sharpen a knife. Now I've already done a couple of videos on knife sharpening already. But what I want to deal with today is sharpening the knife in the field. Because if you take your knife out and you use it quite a bit, you're going to dull it. Now, let me give you a little lead to this. There are many kinds of steels, and we're not going to get into all that. There are steels that are common, steels that are exotic, and voodoo steels that only a king can afford. But there are different kinds of steels, and the bottom line is all steel have some sort of grain to it. And that grain will tell you how efficient a cutter it is, okay? Because when you look at it through a microscope, it will have saw teeth. How fine those teeth are, or how clean they cut, how durable those teeth are, is how well the knife holds an edge, okay? Now, how it applies to us in the field is we have to be able to have a tool that in the field I can resharpen. Now there's filing, sharpening, honing, and stropping. Let's start with the basic, filing. Things that do not take a super fine edge because they need to be a very robust edge, like my kukri. Quite often I will maintain it simply with a 6-inch mill bastard file. And this is the fine tooth one. And I will take, and coming from the back of it, go away from the blade and maintaining the bevel and the angle, maintain my edge. Now, it's a coarse edge, but this is a chopping tool. It's going to be called upon to do coarse work. I can polish it and hone it up even further for more fine carving when that's necessary. You saw me in a video carve a spoon with this. It can be done. It's not the right tool for it, but it can be done. But by sharpening it, we can determine its ultimate job, okay? Now, let me give you a little picture. Again, my artistry is renowned. If the blade has a fairly, straight cross section like that, and this angle right down here is very broad, it's very robust. Thus, for chopping, it does not want to roll. If, however, that angle, like in a Scandi grind, is a very deep V in comparison, it cuts deeper, cleaner, but it wants to roll. Maintaining that angle is what's important in sharpening. So, let's say you've got a bush loin. It comes with a factory edge, and you like the way it cuts. All you have to do is follow suit. So what you want to do is take your sharpening. Now, Blackie, what do I sharpen with? For big coarse tools, I like a file and a big corundum stone like this. Now, I put this in water, and you need to use some sort of lubrication on the stones, because as you're going back and forth, those fibers, those teeth, so to speak, of the steel that you've exposed, those grains that have come out, are being worked back and forth till they snap off. Thus, you'll end up with this black stuff on your stones. If you do not remove it, it'll eventually clog up the stone, like sawdust clogging up sandpaper. So occasionally take the stone and wash it. I keep mine in water when I'm going to be using it for these corundums. Now pull it out of the water, put a little extra on it, and I start my process of maintaining that angle that I had originally. How do you maintain it? Get it up there, and you want to tip the blade downward until the edge is in full contact with your surface. Mentally imagine I'm going to take my knife and slice a paper thin sheet of stone off of that. And that's what you want to do. Bear down, make sure that edge is fully on there, the full length. The edge is not way back up the blade, but the edge, there's no gap. And I want to push forward and draw it as if I'm slicing a super thin slice of cheese off of that rock. just like that. Then I want to reverse direction and come back. Now, to maintain that both sides are equal, I want to do the same work on both sides. Thus, 5 strokes this way, reverse, 5 strokes this way, reverse, 5 strokes, reverse, 5 strokes. Now, once you have sharpened it that way, you have created the edge, okay? And it is sharp enough, it'll slice paper pretty easy. Now we go from that filing and sharpening, we go to honing. Honing is simply polishing the edge. We want something hard and smooth for that. Now, these ceramic rods are really good for this. This is a hone. This doesn't sharpen anything. But what it does is it kind of refines that edge. It takes those woolly fibers, so to speak, off the blade and works them back and forth, leaving more of the true edge. And you use this just like you do the stone. You want to maintain that angle and act like you're trying to slice this bar very easily. Now I have here one that's a flat block. Same thing. This is ceramic. The bottom of a coffee cup, you know that unglazed part down there where it's not shiny? Same thing. You can set a coffee cup up here and do the same thing. That is a hone. Think of it as a refinement of it. And last is stropping. Now stropping is the polishing of that edge. The cheapest and easiest available is simply newspaper. I know that don't sound like much, does it? But these, you know, advertising papers and stuff are normally pretty good for this because they're a coarse paper and they've got coarse printing on it. And what I'm going to do is take a piece of it, take me a wooden block, and I'm going to take a section that's got a pretty good bit of ink on it, and I'm going to wrap it around that block, just like that. So it's nice and tight, no wrinkles. I will get this in a moment, I promise. There. Making sure it's nice and tight. I will now take my well-sharpened knife and go back and forth and strop it. Now you hear about stropping a razor. That was because they never let it get dull. All they did was polish that edge. They kept the edge. If it got a little dull, then they went back to the hone, which is like my ceramic down here, and they honed it. Thus you hear the term honing your skills. Honing it in. It means that kind of focusing it in. Okay? So we've got filing for the coarse things, sharpening when the bevel has been lost, and I'll get to that in a second, or it's dull, honing it to polish it, and finally stropping it to bring it all the way out as far as we can get it. That actually polishes the edge. Okay? Now, sandpaper for the honing works good. This is 2000 grit. You pick it up in the automotive department. It's for sanding paint on cars and things like that. They have 2,000, 3,000, I've even seen 8,000 before, and that's getting pretty ridiculous. But I'll wrap it around a little wooden block and I hone my knife. Now notice I pull away because I want those fibers that I've created by the sharpening that have stuck out. I want them to work and snap off, leaving a polished edge. And that's what this is really good for. This is wet or dry sandpaper. So I can wet this and get a piece of paper that lasts a pretty long time. And all I do is strop back and forth. Now you're going to say, I'm not doing anything. And then you watch the paper turn black and you watch the edge start shining like a mirror. You've heard that term, mirror edged? That's where it comes from. Now that's a little overview of it. Now let's get down to the nitty-gritty of it. In the field, what should I carry? Well, these big stone sets are for the house. They're for the sharpening of a blade. When I go to the field, my blade should be as sharp as I can get it. It should have been honed, stropped, ready to go. Now, I've sat here and I've worked on something for 30, 40 minutes. I'm done with it. I clean the blade, and I need something to kind of strop it. I wear a leather belt. At night around the campfire, I can take my knife, wrap my belt around my leg, pull it tight, and I can strop on my leather belt to maintain my edge. If I don't let the edge go truly dull, I can just strop it or hone it to bring it right back. Thus, carrying a couple pieces of this wet dry sandpaper folded up and something I can wrap around. It may be something I already have, like for example a char tin. I can just wrap the paper around it and use that to hone. It's a very worthwhile thing to carry. These sets, like you see like this, it has a diamond, small, fine, and it's got two pull-throughs, a ceramic and a steel tooth. These are good pitch in your pack sets because they allow you to bring a knife back that's dulled down, or even a bigger tool, because this is big enough I can hold it and work on like a machete or something like that. A big tool like a machete, you want something like this. And these are anywhere you sell that type of stuff. It has a pair of hardened steel teeth in a V. Now, this is going to produce a coarse edge, like the file. This will not produce a razor edge, but it will hone out, or should I say, sharpen or file, so to speak, something like a kukri, a machete, an axe, something like that, and make it where you can utilize it. This little piece up front is a hand guard, and it's to protect your hand as you pull it down the edge. I use this when I've got a big ding in here and I take a file and take it off, and then I take this to reprofile it. So, to recap, sharpening a knife in the field is merely maintaining it. You should not be truly sharpening in the field. You should be honing and stropping. You should, at home, sharpen the knife. Now, I said it a minute ago, once that wore down, that V we have worked so hard to maintain, as we cut, eventually the bottom of that V wears off. That's when we have to step back a step and take a stone and actually sharpen it again. Honing it won't bring it back. We've honed it, we've stropped it, and it's still not sharp enough. That V has become kind of blunted a little bit. So now I got to take some of this cheek off and recreate it. It won't take much. I take my stone, I put water on it or oil, either one, and following that angle, I do my strokes. How many strokes? A good rule of thumb that I was taught as a boy was 100 strokes, 50 on each side. So I do 5, reverse 5, and I do that until I get to 100. Then I check it. If I have a wire edge, which means I'm doing good, I've got it down narrow, that wire edge is rolled left or right, I will put the side that the wire edge is on there and kind of try to cut the stone a little bit and kind of roll that off. Okay? Hope this helps, guys. Hey there. Okay, guys. Please leave your questions or comments. If there's anything you want me to bring out even further, please ask. I'd be glad to do it. I'm Blackie for Shaman's Forge Bushcraft, wishing you safe journeys. Have a great day, you guys.